Hey Coconuts, it's me again, your friendly neighborhood PK, and today we are going to be discussing leverage. And again, I just want to thank Netmarble and 4plat for being amazing developers who have taken the time to thoroughly respond to our multiple inquiries and make it so that we can give you guys the most authentic and correct and up-to-date information as possible within this game, especially on certain topics like preemptive strike and this particular topic, leverage, that is a little vague. I mean, we all understand that there is a affinity wheel, or some would call it a wheel of pain, which is your infantry are weak to archers, your archers are weak to cavalry, and your cavalry are weak to infantry, and thus closes the circle. If you guys ever forget that information, you can go into your training grounds or your, archery center, any of your troop training areas, and click into train. And you will see that your troops have a little eye icon in each tier. If you click on that, that's where you're going to find your troop type information as well as your specific troop tier information. And this information is imperative to understanding your attack, not just leverage. This is going to be how you find out what your tier's HP pool is and what that tier's attack pool is and all that great information. So here we see that Amazon's infantry are strong against cavalry, weak against archers. That's all fine and dandy, but what exactly does that mean? What is that attack stat number? We see things with like leverage runes and whatnot that have a very small percent when you're comparing it to things like troop attack. It's easy to kind of just try and dismiss it. However, that small percent or small number is going to make a huge difference in your attack and defense. Because your base leverage stat is 200%. That is without any sort of research, any runes, nothing else. You log into the game for the first time, you are going to have a 200% leverage difference. And what that number means, and let's say hypothetically we have a march size of 1 million T7. If we look at my attack stats, the base attack is 160 plus 40, which I've gotten through Troop Training 2 research. So that's 200 attack per T7 troop. So my base attack pool is going to be 1 million times 200, which is going to give us 200 million. Now we're going to multiply that number by my troop attack. Hypothetically, we're going to say my troop attack is 5,500%. That's going to give us an attack pool of 1.1 billion. Now, we're not going to go into all these other stats or anything else that can affect that, because this is just a hypothetical situation to understand where leverage percent comes into play. So we have our 1.1 billion attack pool. Now, your leverage percent is going to multiply against this number. So your 200% leverage, because it's the base stat, is going to double, not triple, double your damage. So now you're looking at 2.2 billion. That's huge. This is why we see things with like your leveraged attack runes at 10% and they can't be enhanced. That's because they already far outweigh any benefit of the plus 15 attack runes. The negative aspect to them, however, is that your leverage runes are only good against 25% of the types of troops that are out there. And it's not very easy or cheap to swap out your runes. So if you have multiple heroes with different gears for each troop type, then it would make sense to put leverage runes on those. But if you don't really know who you're hitting or what you're going to be up against, it's going to be better beneficial to you to put the attack runes on. Now, there is a way split down the middle that you can kind of hit both roads, and that is through getting your attack runes up to plus 15, because that will also give you a 5% leverage bonus. So we've discussed what the affinity buff is. But what about the weak, the affinity penalty? This is kind of what blew my mind, because I understood leverage, I understood the base attack and everything else. What I didn't really think about was the affinity penalty. Logically, I just assumed if I send infantry to archers, they're going to have double the attack against me because their archers are hitting what they're strong against. But what's actually occurring in addition to that is that my attack is halved. So the affinity penalty of hitting a weaker troop is 50%. So my 1.1 base attack pool multiplied against my the 5,500% troop attack suddenly becomes from 1.1 billion to 550 million, just because I'm hitting the weaker troops, or the troops I'm weak against. In addition to that, their attack is going to be doubled because they're hitting the troops that they're strong against. So understanding what you're hitting is huge as well. Now you can boost your leverage by gaining an additional 200% through your troop training tree. So if you come into your research academy, troop training, all the way at the very end, you're going to see that there is a 200% leverage bonus. Again, you have 3 slots currently for runes, in which you can put 10% in each slot, so that's an additional 30% there. And you also have gears, which give you additional leverage. So your plus 20 level 30 individual troop type gears will give you a 30% bonus total. And your plus 40 individual troop type gears at plus 20, your level 40 at plus 20, will give you a 45% boost. Now, as a defender, you're probably wondering, well, shit, how can I defend against this? You can look into various gears. You can also enhance buildings. So your command center is going to work towards infantry. That's going to give you an infantry leverage attack debuff. Your warehouse is going to be for calves, and your wall is going to be for archers. All those debuffs will only work against the additional leverage that's researched or added through gear and runes. It will not deduct from the base leverage. There's currently only one area that will do that, and that is in your Lord skills. If you go into battle, about halfway through, we're going to find enemy basic leverage attack decreases. And that's for 10%. And at the very end of the tree, you're going to find an additional one that is for 40%. And that is why these are super difficult to get to. Because, again, they're significant. Potentially, if you had all these debuffs going, even against the strongest attacker that had all the leverage boost, you could take his attack or his leverage attack down from near 500% all the way down to 150, which would only give him a 50% boost instead of nearly 4 times. This is pretty huge. I know for me, like, I understood leverage. I understood the significance and how it worked with multiplying the attack. I thought I understood the affinity penalty because I just assumed that, well, you know, if you're hitting weaker troops, their attack is going to be doubled. So that's why you're weaker. I didn't actually know or even think that your attack is going to be halved. So that kind of blew my mind. Understanding leverage and how this affects you and how to better prepare your citadel or empire is definitely essential for how you're setting up your defenses and really how you want to formulate your attacks as well. Currently, the only type of troop that is immune to leverage is going to be your siege. And that's why you see siege defenses. So that's about it, coconuts. If I've made anything unclear, or maybe I've piqued some interest and you've developed some questions that I have not answered in here, feel free to drop me a comment in the comment box. As always, please like and subscribe because I am lonely and it makes me smile. And as always, you can visit our website at www.ironthroneelite.com. Until next time, guys.